4th. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Now streaming the Errors Tour, JP's version, J.P. Shadrick.
And welcome in. It's Jaguars Happy Hour brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving, and a busy hour ahead. We're 3 weeks to the NFL Draft. So we'll hear from Trevor Sikkema of Pro Football Focus, NFL Draft analyst, get his thoughts on a couple of position groups that could be in play for the Jaguars, cornerback and wide receiver. See what he has to say about that. The offseason program right around the corner as well. That's a couple of weeks, 10 days away or so, 11 days, the 15th, whatever today is, the 4th. He just said it. Joe just said it. It's the 4th. It's Thursday. Either way, that's coming up. We'll get to that. We'll keep it real, as we always do, and Microsoft questions from social media. That all is coming up on 1010XLAM, Jaguars.com, and Jaguars YouTube. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman from the Miller Electric Center, the Hyundai Studios. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
How the heck are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, well, first of all, the weather today is fantastic.
Yeah, it's been the last couple of days, raining, right? And then
get a little rain, but I mean, it's a little nice and a little chill in the air, a little breezy.
It's kind of the last chill, right? It's
not a good day
warm
for fishing, but it's a good day to be outside.
Well, we're inside.
Good day for football.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I mean, if today were a football day, I mean, it would be like, oh, man, this is perfect. Let's go.
Hey, this is the last kind of chill. Is it going to be warm from here on, you think?
No.
What do you think?
No. We usually have a little bit of a –
one more?
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the month of April, we'll have some cool weather. Come on, JP. I'm not ready for summer yet.
I'm not either. I'm asking somebody who would know. I don't know.
You're excited about getting the OTA stuff started.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just calm it down. By the way, the Chargers already started because they have a new head coach.
That's right.
And it was kind of funny listening to Jim Harbaugh speak. Did you see any of his quotes? I missed
it. How was it?
Everything's great. They're the best. The team's doing great. It's the best attitude I've ever seen.
Well, what else is he supposed to say? What else do you expect him to say? These guys stink.
It's just
There's
funny.
a reason I'm here.
It's just funny. And the same thing in Washington. You know, it's the hope that you have with a new staff and some new players.
I mean, come on. You know how many times we've heard that around here over the years?
I know. Look,
we've had, 6 head coaches in the last 12 years?
Look. I'm happy with Doug Peterson. Okay, don't get me wrong, and I'm happy with the direction of this organization. I mean, it's good. Just need to get better. But in years past, there were, we'd have a change in the organization, and we were like, yes, we're going to get better, and then it wouldn't happen.
It can always be worse,
but
it can always
hope
get
springs
worse.
Eternal. I guess you
could say.
we're
in a good spot right now, right? I mean, back-to-back 9.
But I'm excited about the OTAs getting started soon. Quite ready for them to start yet, but
a few weeks away.
I'm excited about it for a couple different reasons. One, to see some action on the field, to see some of the new players, but then I always like it once the draft class comes in, because then you get an idea of what this team, what their personality may be, what their characteristics may be. That's when you get a feel. And also, you can get a feel as to, okay, now we still have a couple holes. What do we have to address in what I call the late free agent period? Because there's plenty of opportunities for teams to get better once you get past the draft. And some teams need to get better past the draft. The good teams sometimes wait until after the draft. Take a look at the Baltimore Ravens. They don't participate a ton in free agency at the onset, but they like to do it after the draft and into June because it helps with their compensatory pick formula. So they're one of the good teams at that.
You also pick players right the first time in the draft, too. That helps.
That's what makes them good.
That's right.
They pick good players, they develop them, and they lose them, and then all of a sudden they get a return on their investment, their initial investment, because they're losing good players that are going to get paid out. Did you see their compensatory formula for the year coming up in 2025?
A lot of picks.
It's really good. And this team right here grabbed a couple of them that's helping their compensatory package.
Well, one position group that the Jags won't have to change anytime soon is middle linebacker. Foyesade Oluokun.
Good
with
move.
the extension, 4 years, $45 million reportedly, $22.5 million fully guaranteed at signing. He led the league in tackles, of course, in 21 and 22. Finished fourth last season in total tackles in the NFL. And you like this move?
I like it. I don't like it. I love it. Why? Because he's a really good football player. He's always available. He's tough. He's dependable. He plays hard every snap. And if you look at his film, you can watch plays 1 through 10 and then watch plays 70 through 80, and they look the same speed-wise, effort-wise, everything. And trust me, there were some games where he had 80 snaps. And I'm not joking when I say that the first 10 looked as good as, or the last 10 looked as good as the first 10. That's how good of a player he is. Now, I think there was some hope with the draft pick last year out of Florida.
Ventrell Miller.
Ventrell Miller, that maybe Ventrell Miller could supplant a Foyesade Oluokun in the future, and you would maybe have to expend a capital amount to keep an inside linebacker. But shoot, nobody's taking Foyesade's job. Man's a stud. And he's a leader. That's the best part about it. Love the way he steps in front of the huddle. Loves the way he holds guys accountable.
We're showing on Jaguars.com and Jags YouTube some of the highlights of Luke, and I forgot about the pick six against the Saints. It was the first ever touchdown in the NFL.
Awesome.
It was a great play.
Awesome.
So, yeah, he's all over the place, and he'll be here for a while to come, certainly.
He's an every down linebacker. I mean, and he fills every stat, every category that there is. Okay, interceptions, sacks, tackles, of course. He fills that one for enough for two guys. Caused fumbles, recovered fumbles, tackles for losses. He fills every category that there is on the defensive sheet.
And remember, I mean, he spent a season putting other people in the right place around him as well, and still doing that.
And you're talking about 2 years ago when Devin Lloyd was a rookie, and he was having to get Devin lined up a little bit. And then this past year, Devin was doing a good job of handling that himself. And I thought you saw the improved play by Foyesade, because I don't want to use this term, but I'm going to use it. He didn't have to babysit.
Yeah.
Because it's the only term that I can think of comes to the top of my mind, so
Yeah.
I'm going to have to use it.
Right.
But, okay, and fortunately, Devin grew up. Devin figured it out, year 2 of the system, and was handling it himself. And I would expect that Devin starts to maybe tutor others or mentor others in the future.
Now, the trick is with the system changing some, does everybody adjust the same way? That's something to look at in the offseason.
Don't worry about.
Right.
I mean, Foyer's a student of the game, works hard at it, studies his playbook, highly intelligent football player, and not just a highly intelligent football player. He has instincts, football intelligence, which goes above, okay, looking at a sheet and being able to fill out a multiple choice or a fill-in-the-blank test on a game plan. Some guys just know and anticipate. When you watch Foyesade play, he's always, when you watch his reaction time to what the play is actually going to be, he's at least a half a step to a full step ahead of most people, because he studies the game and he's got great instincts.
Join us Tuesday, April 16th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Everbank Stadium for the Be Inspired by Jags Jobs event. It's presented by the Florida Lottery. Register now at jaguars.com/brightfutures. We're on 1010XL AM, jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube, J.P. Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. We'll hear from Trevor Sikkema of Pro Football Focus in less than 10 minutes about where there might be some value at number 17 overall. 3 weeks to the draft logs. And I know in the weeks leading up to the draft, you start really grinding on this prospect tape. This is your time of year to get into these key position groups, certainly the ones the Jaguars could be after, but you really love the quarterbacks too, right?
Yeah. When you're saying that, this is the time of year that I'll be sitting there watching the film of these college prospects, okay, with my Microsoft Surface. And,
great sponsored
all of a sudden, 45 minutes, an hour into it, all of a sudden it's hit me in my nose. Because it's at night. You're tired. You're trying to watch 4 or 5 guys, and all of a sudden you're sitting there and you're laying back on the couch and you're kind of holding it, on your chest, and all of a sudden, bam, something hits you in the nose, and you're like, oh, whoa, wait, I fell asleep. But no, I enjoy watching. I've been watching the quarterbacks, and the quarterbacks I think have a big impact on what will be available to the Jaguars at 17, and that's one of the reasons why I've been watching them, because of the potential for 5 quarterbacks to go before the Jaguars pick.
It's pretty amazing, right? I mean, that doesn't happen too often. Even when there are really good quarterback classes, sometimes it spreads out enough where there aren't that many in the first half of a first round. But who are a few you got your eyes on this week? Obviously Caleb Williams is the guy, former Heisman winner out of Southern California. So a lot of people are saying, a lot of the pundits think he's going to be the number 1 overall pick to the Chicago Bears. So what stands out about Caleb Williams in the film that you've seen?
He is so smooth. I mean, when I say smooth, he's so athletic, and he is a total Joe Cool. Never gets flustered, never panics, is super athletic to escape from something and then create something. And it's fun to watch. A talented arm, live arm, accurate arm. Put all of that together, and then you have a generational player. Fantastic player. I mean, this is probably, I think, one of the best quarterbacks since Trevor Lawrence to come out. And he's got it all. He's got it all. I love it. And what I think impresses me the most is what he does when the plays break down. So there's a lot of quarterbacks, and in the NFL, you've got to survive in a system. Okay, but the exceptional ones, take a look at Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, the exceptional ones, and I hate to use this term, but I'm going to use it, play above the X's and O's, and it's when things become off the written or off schedule plays, and now the player has to create something on his own, and that's where Caleb Williams really, really shines, because he's so athletic, and then the arm talent from any position is there all the time.
About the off-the-field stuff, there's some critics of him and his personality away from the game. And how does that translate?
What's the criticism? Tell me that.
Some of it, there was a moment last year where he came off the field, was
the Hollywood thing,
went to crying with his mom, was there in the front row. I remember Pete Prisco on Happy Hour the week after was all over him, partly because Baselli was here. But there's some of that, right? What do you make of that? Is that overblown?
I think it is, because there's so much attention put on him, because many people expected him to be the first overall pick, whether it been last year or this year. So there's so much attention on him as a player because of that. Is it the microscope effect? Maybe. But, I think you're always going to find a flaw with somebody if you look hard and long enough. But I think for the most part, this is an exceptional football player. And a lot of people are maybe turned off because, okay, he doesn't want to go visit all the teams and he doesn't want to do stuff at the combine. I don't blame him one bit. I mean, he's the first overall pick, hands down. Does he need to go through all those hoops to be able to make people satisfied across the board? I'm okay with him not doing any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, turn on the film. Okay, look at the class guy that he's been so far.
Go watch the UCLA game from 2 seasons ago at the Rose Bowl.
It was unbelievable.
Oh,
unbelievable.
Back and forth, up and down the field. Him and Dorian Thompson-Robinson back and forth all game long. It was fantastic.
Since we're talking about games, okay, I'm going to go to another quarterback because he's on my list, and he's not really – I want to say he's in the top 3, but I have him on this list to talk about today because – this is a guy that could sneak in somewhere into the first round and maybe even before the Jaguars pick.
Who?
Michael Penix.
Ah.
And the reason I bring him up now is because you talk about Caleb Williams against UCLA 2 years ago. Did you watch Michael Penix against Texas?
I did. It was fantastic.
Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
The deep balls that he threw. And what I love about him is that, I mean, super live arm. Him and Drake May, I think, have exceptional arms. And I think that's what makes those two guys the second and third best quarterbacks, I think, in this draft. But Penix has the size. He's athletic. He has exceptional live arm with deep ball ability. I like him. And I know that there are some concerns about him injury-wise, and that's natural. But this is a guy that if all of a sudden he ends up slipping up in front of the Jaguars and some of the other quarterbacks go as expected, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, if all of a sudden all those guys go up ahead of the Jaguars as well, the Jaguars are going to have a lot to pick from that they really like, and it's not going to be an easy decision because a lot of players are going to get pushed back because of the quarterbacks that are in the top of the draft.
Let's get one more quarterback in you've been watching, and it's from Chapel Hill and from North Carolina, Drake May.
Yeah, big. I mean, he's got all the measurables, right? 6'4", 230 pounds, got an arm that is lights out. And what I like about him, does a really good job of getting the ball out faster than like a Caleb Williams, as far as reading, reacting. Caleb, part of the reason why he takes a little bit longer to get the ball out on average also is because he extends the play and uses his athleticism. But May does a good job of really staying within the structure of the scheme and getting the ball out, reading defenses. Now, there are times that he has a miss, but it's not because of a flawed footwork or flawed arm or any of that nature. If Caleb Williams is not in this draft, Drake May is the hands-down top of the class, first overall pick, and it's not even a debate because he's that talented of a quarterback.
I want to end on this question here. You mentioned Caleb Williams is a generational prospect, or could be.
I believe so.
How many generational players can you actually have in one generation? I feel like it's an overused term. Because Trevor is just okay. Trevor was the one, right? And that's only like 4 years ago.
If we go back and say, okay, what generational quarterbacks, okay, and use of that label, I used it on Caleb Williams. I've used it on Trevor Lawrence, and I've used it, and it's just me personally. I don't know if other people have used it or not. Patrick Mahomes. Just because of, and I said this a few years ago, I said he's the greatest quarterback I ever watched film of.
I remember that. And
I think that those three guys in recent time, now, how can you have three in one generation? I understand your point.
You know what I mean? Right.
I understand your point. Totally.
I think it's an overused term.
I think there's a better way to say it, but I mean, I don't know what that term would be.
Right. Yeah. But that's the point, is that you think he is up here with those caliber players.
I believe he is. And but yeah, I mean, I think it's a better – I'm glad that you asked the question because it kind of clarifies what my definition of a generational talent would be. And so by giving people those ideas, Peyton Manning, generational talent when he was coming out. I wasn't a big fan of Ryan Leaf.
I mean, let's go back to the early 80s, right? Marino and Elway were in the same draft.
Well, many people didn't view Dan Marino as a generational talent.
And he slid because they thought the marijuana stuff or whatever. He slid down the draft.
John Elway, there was a little bit of question to him about his commitment to football with baseball sitting out there, so a lot of people didn't view him as that.
But he was the pick. And
he was.
Yeah.
And turned out to be a great pick.
Turned out to be generational Hall of Fame players.
Hall of Fame player. Jim Kelly, many people viewed as one of those types, one of those great players. But it's good that you asked that question and you bring that up because I think it clarifies that it's not necessarily once per generation. It's probably more – it's another upper category.
These are the top of this generation.
Exactly.
Back in a moment. Plenty more ahead. Semantics, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, but that makes a big difference. I think if you have – as far as definitions go, we've got to invent a new name or a new term or a new category, JP. It's up to me and you.
We've got 41 minutes to figure it out.
We're masters of the English language. Can we figure this out within 45 minutes?
We're about to find out. Jaguars Happy Hour brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving.
What's the best part about lawn care during the winter? You can give it a rest. Lawns only need watering up to once a week. Really, that's it. Using less water means you're saving time and money that you can put towards something else. Before you run your sprinklers, remember, give it a rest and only water up to once a week. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com.
Jags fans, the Everbank Draft Day experience is your chance to score a trip to the Motor City to witness the first round in person. One winner will win a trip for two to Detroit, including airfare, hotel, and tickets to the event on Thursday, April 25th. Enter now at everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents of the U.S. 18 and older. Enter from March 20th to April 12th, 2024. Visit everbank.com/draft for official sweepstakes, rules, and other important details. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank, N.A.
Don't get sacked by a no-name propane rookie at Jacksonville. Draft an all-star and switch to AmeriGas, the official propane provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the homes and businesses who know it was always the Jags. Show off your Duval pride at your next tailgate with a Jaguars grill tank from AmeriGas. To find an AmeriGas exchange location near you or to order a propane fill-up for your home or business, visit AmeriGas.com/Jacksonville-Jaguars or call 844-PRO-JAGS.
I'm John Davis, Secretary of the Florida Lottery, and I'm proud to lead an agency that is creating brighter futures for Florida students, families, and communities. As the primary funding source of the Bright Future Scholarship Program, the lottery has helped nearly 1 million students reach their dream of a post-secondary education. And we will continue to do our part to ensure that every student across this state is aware of these opportunities and has the resources needed to succeed. Because together, we can build a brighter future for all.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamfindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Over 40 years ago, I made a decision to help people. Might sound simple, but following your passion never is. Big ideas tend to get bigger. What started out as one lawyer's vision is now a team of over 400 with an obsession. Today, protecting you and your family is more than a job. It's a way of life. Over 40 years ago, we set out to build a law firm. It's clear now that what we've built is so much more. I'm Eddie Farah, Jacksonville.
Jaguars Happy Hour brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. J.P. Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, glad you're with us on this Thursday. It's April 4th. We're 3 weeks to the NFL Draft. And music lives here. Just announced shows at Daly's Place include Stone Temple Pilots, Live, Lindsey Sterling, Two Door Cinema Club, Slightly Stupid, that's your favorite, Logs.
I like them.
The Dirty Heads, and more. And get your tickets at dailysplace.com or call 633-2000 and learn about VIP seating. We're on 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, and Jaguars YouTube. What's that look for?
DIP.
VIP.
I thought you said D.
VIP.
Yeah, better.
Very important for people. Yeah.
Thought you were a little confused there. I was like,
It's
JP
possible.
coming up with a new term for seating?
We've got to figure out a new term for generational. So I figured we get started, right? I mean, how do we figure this out in the next, 37 minutes?
I don't know, but we're going to work on it.
Generational.
We're going to work on it. Quarterback of a decade. How do you do that?
What's the definition of a generation? 20 years?
I don't know. Is it 20 or is it 30?
25.
I don't know. That's first of all, we got to define generational.
Yeah. Well, let's take a few minutes and we'll work behind the scenes when we hear from Trevor Sikkema.
We'll let Joe figure that out.
Yeah, our crack research staff.
Yes.
3 weeks to the draft, and it's, of course, a busy time for everyone in the pre-draft process, but certainly those at Pro Football Focus. And NFL draft analyst Trevor Sikkema earlier today caught up with him and discussed the Jaguars at number 17 and the possibilities of a wide receiver or a top-tier cornerback in the first round.
Those are three receiving cores now that the Jags have to go up against twice a year. That is tough. I mean, that's deep, that's talented. And like you said, it puts a little bit more pressure on them potentially going corner in the first round at number 17 overall. Maybe they feel aggressive enough to maybe move up and go get the top CB1 in this draft, because it feels like it's hard to believe that no corner would go before number 17. But I think any of these guys would be on the board for them to play opposite Tyson Campbell. I like Quinyon Mitchell a lot from Toledo. I think that he's probably going to be the first cornerback off the board. It's just hard to not look at what he's done over the last 2 years and feel like there was something that he left on the table or that there was a box that was unchecked. He's got good size. He's got incredible speed. You saw him in off coverage roles over the last 2 years, elite PFF grades in coverage, which is extremely impressive. Had the most forced incompletions of any cornerback in college football over the last 2 years, a handful of interceptions as well with good ball skills. But really, the only question with him was, hey, can you play him in press? Can you play him in man? Because he was a big off coverage defender at Toledo. And, I think that they did a really good job at the Senior Bowl of saying, okay, we've seen you play off coverage a lot. Now come in and what do you like in press? And they lined him in press. And what did he do? Well, he basically just shut down every receiver that he went up against. So checks all of those boxes. I think he'd be a phenomenal choice for Jacksonville if they have the opportunity to take him. You have Terron Arnold from Alabama, Kool-Aid McKinstry, his teammate at Alabama as well. Could be really solid players, especially, again, in a situation where you already have Campbell, who is an ascending young cornerback and one of the best young corners in the game. I think that getting that elite outside cornerback duo is paramount to, like you said, being able to keep pace with a lot of the teams in this division. And you don't always want to make your moves based on someone else, but I do feel as though Jacksonville kind of made a lot of their moves in kind of like what they wanted to do in free agency. And so the draft you could argue that, okay, it could be a little bit more reactionary, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you get a really good football player on your team. So I think that, yeah, when you look at the rest of that division, having to play all those teams and those offenses at least twice a year apiece, that definitely ups the pressure to make your secondary as good as it can be.
Trevor Sikkema, Pro Football Focus at Tampa Bay Trey on X. Well, that's one philosophy, is to defend it a little bit better. Well, the other one is to, fight fire with fire and add some more offensive weaponry for Trevor Lawrence at wide receiver. And the Jaguars historically in the early rounds have not drafted a lot of wide receivers. Only 9 all-time in the first 3 rounds have been selected by the Jaguars. Only one of those, Trevor, has made it to a second contract, and that was Marquise Lee. The last first-round draft pick for the Jags at wide receiver was Justin Blackmon in 2012. So they haven't historically fared well in this department. But if they were to go the wide receiver route, is there something there middle of the first round?
Yeah, I think there absolutely is. And the good thing about it is, Jacksonville sitting here, they've got a second-round pick, they got a third-round comp pick, right? Now, I think that you could even maybe get an impact receiver in the second and third round as well. But I don't, the big question is, hey, this wide receiver class is so good, it's so deep, it's so talented. Does that deter you from taking one in the first round because you think you can get one a little bit later? I think it's an interesting conversation for teams to have. But I would tell you that I wouldn't really let the thought of that get in the way of me taking a guy who I think could be a wide receiver 1 on my team. And I think that when you look at an A.D. Mitchell from Texas, a Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, those are 2 of the wide receivers that I think could be in that sweet spot of still available but really high impact players for them at number 17 if they don't move. It's tempting. It really is. I think that both of those guys, their games aren't perfect yet. It's not as well-rounded as it could be for either of them. But, hey, I mean, you just look at the athletic baseline for both of these guys. I mean, A.D. Mitchell, relative athletic score, one of the best wide receivers that we've seen over the last, 5-6 years. You look at Brian Thomas Jr., okay, primarily a vertical threat type of guy, but while he is hopefully rounding out what he could be as an all-around receiver, what he does now as that vertical guy is pretty dang unstoppable. And we saw that in the SEC at LSU this past year. Almost 210 pounds, runs a 4.33 40-yard dash. And it was funny. I was looking over some Jaden Daniels film the other day. I was looking at how he was as a quarterback when it came to throws on the run and scrambling. So I was looking at a handful of those plays. And there's just one throw where he just absolutely fits it straight into the bucket, right in the breadbasket for Brian Thomas Jr. He's got about 40, 45 yards before he gets to the end zone. He puts his foot in the ground and he accelerates. And you go, whoa, okay, there it is. There's the 4.33. We see it. That's difference-making level speed, even at the NFL level. So you can't help but think about, all right, if you're picturing that guy in Jags colors in a Jags jersey, what it could be with Trevor Lawrence, looking deep for him and connecting with him in a vertical threat for this offense. So those are the 2 guys that consistently go to. If they're going to stick in the middle of the first round, you're hoping that one of Brian Thomas Jr. or A.D. Mitchell from Texas is going to be there for you. And they also, because of their athleticism, feel like Trent Baalke types. So I feel like they're going to both be on the Jags radar as well.
Is Trevor Sikkema of Pro Football Focus at Tampa Bay Trey on X. J.P. Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. The full conversation coming soon on Jaguars.com, Jaguars social media. Yeah, I mean, those are two position groups a lot of people are picking to the Jaguars log. So, I'm still kind of on the corner train myself. I mean, you can't have too many good cornerbacks, especially with a division that's loading up on wide receiver talent.
No, and the good thing is that the team kind of filled some holes at both of those positions in free agency. And so that helps, I think, going in the draft. So you feel like that, hey, if you're making that call, hey, we're comfortable with what we have. Let's just take the best player that's on our board. If it's a wide receiver, great. If it's a defensive tackle, great. If it's an offensive tackle, great. I'm okay with that. Just take the best player, the ones that are going to give you the best chance to succeed. Because, at the end of the day, when you have the best players, that's all that matters, because you can end up getting compensatory picks for other players that move on. Or, look, this team has tried to fill holes in the past by drafting for need, and it doesn't always work out. And you end up having a player who never even gets to a second contract sometimes. So that's why you always draft the best players.
Yeah, and I mentioned that wide receiver stat in the question to
Which
Trevor
is crazy.
there. I looked that up earlier today because I knew obviously it wasn't great, and so I just tried to figure out how not great it was.
Repeat that again, because some people might not have heard that.
And you're seeing it on your screen on Jaguars.com. The Jaguars in rounds 1, 2, or 3 all time have selected 9 wide receivers in that stretch. Only one of them has signed a second deal with the team, and that was Marquise Lee. The others, for one reason or another, never made it to a second deal or never made it through their first deal with the team. Justin Blackmon being one of those in 2012.
Well, and leave that chart up there. I mean, let's talk about them.
R.J. Soward, 2000.
Some players you don't get to a second contract because, look, you're in some kind of financial straits to where you can't afford to do that.
Right. All right, so 2000.
R.J. Soward, Matt Williams. Okay.
No. R.J. Soward, Reggie Williams, Matt Jones.
Okay, bus. Across the board bus. 3 of them bus.
All first-round picks, by the way.
Yes.
2007, Mike Sims-Walker was a third-round pick. 2012, Justin Blackmon, first-round pick.
He had issues.
He was an incredible player when he was out there, but he wasn't out there long. 2014, 2 different second-round picks, Marquise Lee and Allen Robinson.
And both of those guys, good football players that could have warranted a second contract. So
Marquise did. He got
They
one.
made a choice there. They picked one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
They chose Marquise Lee, and then Allen Robinson moved on.
And Lee got hurt after that and pretty much was done.
By the way, and it was Devontae Turpin or whoever it was, Atlanta Falcons, total cheap shot.
It was like a preseason shot, wasn't it?
Game, and
yeah.
he took him out at the knee. Terrible.
I remember that.
Terrible.
DJ Chark, 2018, second round.
It wasn't
pick.
Turpin, by the way. It was somebody else.
So
DJ Chark.
You're just accusing people.
I can't remember it. It was Casey.
It was Casey.
Casey.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Right. Chark was a good player, but didn't get a second deal here.
Well, good player. But really, it's not like he left here and put up big numbers.
Yeah.
He's kind of been a journeyman the rest of the time. So, I mean, and Laviska Shenault, who just picked him up to add him to maybe do some kick returning stuff, because when they traded him to Carolina, he has really had very few catches total.
Seahawks just signed him.
Seattle.
Yeah.
And they were kind of pumping him up like, oh, yeah, with the new kickoff return rules, he's a good acquisition. And I'm going,
I mean, there's one way to find out preseason, and then if it doesn't work out,
but I mean, that's staggering.
Yeah.
I mean, drafts.
Now, remember, a lot of this time frame
rounds.
in the mid-2000s, this was a run-first team, right? I mean,
no,
late 2000s.
JP. It doesn't matter.
Got Fred and Maurice.
I
They
don't
were
care.
on the ball.
Doesn't matter.
David Garrard's the quarterback.
Terrible job of drafting in rounds 1, 2, and 3 at that position. Terrible.
Yeah.
In a league that's become a passing league.
That's the whole point, I think.
The reason why this team was run heavy is because the draft picks that we just saw
they were
not very good.
Yeah.
And the quarterback's picks weren't very good.
There's a lot of reasons why they weren't very good
Yes.
some years. The Jaguars are celebrating their 30th season this year, though, and the time to get your 2024 season ticket membership is now. Be at the bank for every touchdown and secure your seats at jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. But you can't sit there because you're working.
No, I know. But I got him.
Got to have him.
Got him.
Jaguars Happy Hour brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving.
What's the best part about lawn care during the winter? You can give it a rest. Lawns only need watering up to once a week. Really, that's it. Using less water means you're saving time and money that you can put towards something else. Before you run your sprinklers, remember, give it a rest and only water up to once a week. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dream Finders Homes. With quality built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dream Finders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dream Finders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Don't get sacked by a no-name propane rookie at Jacksonville. Draft an all-star and switch to AmeriGas, the official propane provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the homes and businesses who know it was always the Jags. Show off your Duval pride at your next tailgate with a Jaguars grill tank from AmeriGas. To find an AmeriGas exchange location near you or to order a propane fill-up for your home or business, visit AmeriGas.com/Jacksonville-Jaguars or call 844-PRO-JAGS.
For generations, hardworking people have relied on Ford F-Series trucks to help grow businesses, communities, families. A legacy of capability and technology that has made Ford F-Series America's best-selling trucks 47 years straight. This is the next generation of Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2023 calendar year total sales.
Jags fans, the Everbank Draft Day experience is your chance to score a trip to the Motor City to witness the first round in person. One winner will win a trip for two to Detroit, including airfare, hotel, and tickets to the event on Thursday, April 25th. Enter now at everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents of the U.S. 18 and older. Enter from March 20th to April 12th, 2024. Visit everbank.com/draft for official sweepstakes, rules, and other important details. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank, N.A.
Hey Florida, this is Luke Fortner, center for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We all know the rush of a good game, but there's no winning with aggressive driving on our roads. It's all about strategy and control. Embrace the space with the driver in front of you, go the speed limit, and use that blinker. These are the moves that make us all champions of the road. Target Zero is our game plan for safer roads and is a testament to our teamwork and dedication. Join me and let's get everyone home safely every single day.
After the 30 visits, we want to make sure that everyone has all the information that we need to have on the player. All the background information checks out. If they've had any character issues in their background, we want to make sure that security is on all that. We get all the documentation on all of these issues. What we're trying to prevent now, draft day surprises. Something comes up from the past that is sprung on us. We don't know. We don't have information on us. So now we can't make a good decision on whether we want to take this player or not. So you're getting all the background info. Probably about 2 weeks to 10 days before the draft, the medical team will come in and they'll go through and talk about, hey, here are the guys who have issues. Here's the risk assessment on all of these guys. We can put these guys on the board or they can take them off the board based on what the doctors say. And then the final part of it is just scrimmaging out what we call the cluster buster, the guys that are closely graded. But how do we want to stack the board in order? If there are 3 closely graded corners, what is our preference?
That's Bucky Brooks from the Huddle Up podcast, available on the official Jaguars podcast network. It posted yesterday afternoon. And welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. That was with 3 weeks to go. I asked Bucky, what's your checklist as a GM to be ready to go on draft night? And that was the bulk of his answer there. The rest of it available on the pod. Hey, and the draft is almost here. The Jags are almost on the clock. Join us at the bank Thursday, April 25th for the official Duval Draft Party presented by Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. And the party gets started at 7 o'clock. Tickets are free. Register at jaguars.com/draft party.
Yeah, don't come to the stadium expecting you can just get a ticket on the way in.
No.
No. Can't do that.
You've got to register today at jaguars.com/draft party. You'll be there.
I will be there. We've got a radio show to do.
Yeah. Draft radio
throughout
show.
the first round.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. I love following the draft. I mean, I'm going to watch the draft. Why not do a radio show? And, I'm a little bit more vested in it, because I'm watching these guys, and I don't necessarily rank or stack a board, but I kind of, in my mind, when I see a pick, then I go sit there and I go, was that the right move to make? I'm like, why did they pick that guy? Or I love that pick. You kind of love it because then you kind of go back in years later and look at the draft and you go, yeah, see, I was right, or boy, I was totally wrong on that one. Trust me, there's been many of them.
I think everybody can say that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why it's
every GM.
It's a
can
percentages
say that.
game.
Yeah.
Good football teams are the ones that realize that it is a percentage game, and that they're not always going to be right, and that the sooner that they admit that they made a mistake, the better off they're going to be. When teams continue to try to hold on to what is a mistake, or they continue to believe that they have the answer,
we can fix this
and that
guy.
they ignore that position in the future, that's where teams get in trouble. They have to realize. And I remember talking to Bill Polian about this, and I asked him, I said, Bill, what's the most important thing that you've learned to the job of being a general manager? And he said, you never can be attached to your picks to the point to where you make mistakes in the future because you have such a strong belief in them. You have to believe in them, but you can only carry that belief so far. It can't be blind faith. It's got to be a smart move with the understanding that it is a percentage game.
Blind Faith, great one-album band, by the way.
Yeah, very, very true. What was one of the members of that band?
Eric Clapton.
The most famous one of that band?
Steve Winwood.
Oh.
Right there with him.
Two big names.
Ginger Baker was the drummer.
Ooh.
I forget who the bass player was.
I don't know.
Joe
would know.
Let's keep
Especially
it real.
The bass player.
It's time to keep it real here in our topic today on Keeping It Real. How concerned are you about the Houston Texans trading for wide receiver Stephon Diggs from the Bills?
I'm kind of excited about it.
Excited about it? Really?
Yeah, where's Stephon Diggs ever been where it's been a good situation and everybody's happy?
Well, I mean, they're happy when they win games.
Exactly. Okay, he is a good
So a
player
handful, is that what you're
when
saying?
things are going well.
Okay.
Okay, he's not one of those players when times get tough. We're going to circle the wagons and depend and lean on the veterans and the leadership. Is he one of those guys, JP, do you think? Based on what you've seen over the last 5 or 6 years.
I mean, you could argue no. Yeah, he's not that guy.
No, he's
not.
not.
But he's really damn good.
He's good. I don't know if he's really damn good. He's good.
He's good.
If I'm the Houston Texans.
So you're questioning him.
I am not. First of all, I am not going to pay him, of which they don't have a big financial responsibility.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to give up picks for him.
Yeah, the Texans apparently wiped out the final 3 years of the contract. The reports just moments ago. And he has the ability to become a free agent after this coming season. So the Texans also took the $3.5 million guaranteed next season and moved it into this season. So that assures Diggs of $22.5 million guaranteed this year.
The only good thing is that the Texans didn't give a whole lot up. It was really not a whole lot from a draft pick standpoint. What was it, like a
second, wasn't it?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was that high. Thought it was later than that.
I'll double check that.
But I mean, I don't think it. And look, here's the reality. If he's a good player for them, if he's a happy camper.
It was a 2024 6th-round pick and a 25 5th-round pick.
Which
in
is
exchange
nothing.
for a second in 25 and the receiver.
Which is nothing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right. You're right.
So the cost was virtually nothing.
So
if Diggs is happy, okay, then you've got a wide receiver core in Houston that's, oh, my goodness.
So
if he's happy.
You don't like 6 straight years over 1,000 yards?
No, I like it, but I don't like the headaches that go along with it. You remember last year where you supposedly got thrown out of the building or left the building, and then.
But who hasn't been thrown out of a building? Seriously, come on. I'm kidding. Of
You?
course, I'm kidding. I haven't lately. No, not yet. Anyway.
I'm especially with a young quarterback.
How did we play against him last year?
With a young quarterback, to where you have a really a strong receiver room already, and with a young receiving room, I'm not bringing that in there if it's me. I'm not. And that's one of the reasons why Buffalo said we've had enough. We're just get this guy out of here. And I don't know what was the last straw that made the Buffalo Bills just say, look, we're done. I mean, was it him, Diggs, making a comment on social media about how important he was to the success of Josh Allen, kind of how he made Josh Allen? I don't know if it was that or if they just had enough from last year.
All right. He went over 1,000 yards last year, but his last 100-yard game was week 6. He had
ask you this,
5 of the
JP.
first 6 games were 100 yards, 8 for 121 against the Jags, including a touchdown right before halftime. In London, remember?
No, I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Especially when you already have 2 really good wide receivers. And when in free agency, you could have gotten some other players that didn't have that baggage that go along with them.
But if he's right, if he's in a good headspace, look out.
I don't like if players, JP.
Can that system –
I don't like if players.
But can the Houston system absorb that? That's the question. It's so new to
you got to have a strong locker room to have a player like that. You do. You got to have strong locker room, and you got to have strong coach. Now, D'Amico Ryan, strong coach. I think D'Amico can handle that. Can the locker room? I don't know. Can that room handle that? I don't know. And I'm not saying he's a terrible bad guy, but he's one of those guys that if things are going well, yeah, he's all for it. If he's getting the ball, yeah, he's all for it. Yeah, go team. If he doesn't get some targets, all of a sudden he's going to mope around, and you've got a second-year quarterback in C.J. Stroud. Do you want C.J. Stroud to have to deal with that? Not me.
That was Keeping It Real, as we do each and every week on 1010XL, AM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube, J.P. Shadrick, Jeff Lageman.
Here's a fact, though.
Oh, boy.
You better get some corners.
Yeah, it's sort of that, right. Somebody's got to defend these
because
guys.
if he's happy, they've got now the Texans have got 3 really good wide receivers. The rookie that they had last year.
Oh, Tank Dell. Yeah.
I mean, just runs by people.
That sounded fast.
The big wide receiver that's got great speed. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, the other guy. Yeah.
I mean, runs
that
by
sounds
guy.
fast, too.
I mean, they've got 2 burners, and now you add this guy. If he's happy, oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Microsoft social media questions when we come back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving.
What's the best part about lawn care during the winter? You can give it a rest. Lawns only need watering up to once a week. Really, that's it. Using less water means you're saving time and money that you can put towards something else. Before you run your sprinklers, remember, give it a rest and only water up to once a week. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Jags fans, the Everbank Draft Day experience is your chance to score a trip to the Motor City to witness the first round in person. One winner will win a trip for 2 to Detroit, including airfare, hotel, and tickets to the event on Thursday, April 25th. Enter now at everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents of the U.S. 18 and older. Enter from March 20th to April 12th, 2024. Visit everbank.com/draft for official sweepstakes, rules, and other important details. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank, N.A.
I'm John Davis, Secretary of the Florida Lottery, and I'm proud to lead an agency that is creating brighter futures for Florida students, families, and communities. As the primary funding source of the Bright Future Scholarship Program, the lottery has helped nearly 1 million students reach their dream of a post-secondary education. And we will continue to do our part to ensure that every student across this state is aware of these opportunities and has the resources needed to succeed. Because together, we can build a brighter future for all.
For generations, hardworking people have relied on Ford F-Series trucks to help grow businesses, communities, families. A legacy of capability and technology that has made Ford F-Series America's best-selling trucks 47 years straight. This is the next generation of Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2023 calendar year total sales.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Jaguars Happy Hour brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. By the way, Rick Gretsch was the bass player for Blind Faith. Our thanks to Joe Fortunato.
Bass player for Traffic.
Yeah, after that, yeah. It's all coming together.
Most famous Traffic song in your opinion?
Oh, it's Mr. Fantasy. Right?
By far.
It's got to be.
Second most famous song.
Probably not Medicated Goo, but that was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Low Spark, High Heeled Boys.
All right.
That one. It's pretty
All
good. They have a long, yeah. We could get into a long, we have another hour. If we had another hour, we could get into this. But
maybe we could do a
I don't know if we can do
podcast
that.
on it.
The after show.
Yeah.
You got time, right? No?
Yeah, I got time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got time.
Oh, hey, it's Jaguars Happy Hour.
We got to get Joe on that podcast.
True. We're on 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube, J.P. Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. It's time for social media questions powered by Microsoft. We put out the cat signal earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the best we've come up with.
Mm-hmm.
At Shrek Spacito 69, how much do you think the team would realistically give up for a trade up to get one of the top 3 receivers? And in your opinion, would it be worth it? I would think Marvin Harrison is the top receiver. I don't think you're getting there.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. You know, I mean, why would you want to trade up, and to get up into that stratosphere? Because it would be extremely costly. Okay, so if you're going to get up there and get Harrison, you're going to have to get to what? To pick 3 or 4?
Probably 4 or 5, because the quarterbacks are probably going at least the top 3.
Okay.
And if not the top 4.
Okay, so 4 or 5, and then the next highest rated wide receiver, according to my list, is Neighbors out of LSU.
Okay.
So you're looking at 4, maybe 6. You might have to give up a future 1 to get up that high from 17, right? I mean, because the future 1 gets valued as a current 2, so you'd have to give up a 2 and then something, and you're not going to do that. It's not worth it. Supposedly, it's a very deep wide receiver draft, and here's the thing. I think all future drafts are going to be very deep wide receiver drafts just because of the college game. I mean, it's become a passing game. There's more developed wide receivers than there used to be in the past. I don't think you trade up to do that. I'm not a big fan of trading up anyway, JP. Why? Because it's a percentages game.
You need bodies, right? Yeah.
When you start trading up, then you're losing, the percentages game, because you're not keeping the picks, and the cost is prohibitive.
Yeah, it's becoming a wide receiver game in the NFL, right? But it's a different style of game. There's more space in college football, right? Because of the hash marks and the way it's played. the figuring out the transition, how guys can transition. And then at the line, when you got press coverage in the NFL, it's a different world. And some wide receivers have a little bit of struggle in their first season adapting to the NFL game.
Yeah, very, very few wide receivers come into the league and have a Jamar Chase type of year. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Or a Justin Jefferson type of rookie season. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't happen. So you got to have a little patience, but to answer the initial question, I'm not doing it. Okay, the cost is prohibitive. Stay where you are and pick a wide receiver then, or pick a wide receiver in round 2. That's okay.
I know a former Jags head coach that probably would have wanted to do it.
Thank goodness you got a round 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, but let's not forget.
It's true. They could have lost that,
which would have been a mistake. That was a good move by Trent Baalke.
Letting him walk? Or not signing him before the league year?
Not signing him before the calendar year. And then you have to allow him to be able to hear other offers. And if that's what happens, that's what happens. You don't give up a second-round pick for a guy like that. I mean, let's not forget.
They give up a third-round pick for him.
That's okay because you thought you were going to hit. It didn't hit. It was okay.
Yeah.
But let's not forget that there was some troubles last year. Everything didn't go perfectly. Okay, he got 1,000 yards, but he got to 1,000 yards because there were so many injuries elsewhere. Does he get to 1,000 yards if all those injuries don't happen elsewhere?
Well, if all those injuries happen elsewhere, he's probably getting playoff yardage. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, but the regular season numbers wouldn't have been over 1,000.
Yeah, but they would have been the playoffs, and who cares?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe I'm not in his head. Maybe he does care.
I don't know. Doesn't matter, but I think the Jaguars did a good thing.
You got to cover him now, too, by the way, Tennessee.
That's okay. The one thing about wide receivers, give me a wide receiver that's like Tank Dell or just we were talking about the other wide receiver, Nico Collins, for the Texans. Those guys can fly. Okay? I worry about covering those guys. Did you ever see Calvin Ridley get great separation or run by a guy with great speed?
In training camp.
In a game,
he
JP.
was wide open.
Games
in training
matter.
Camp. Remember training camp out here? They thought he was Jerry Rice.
You're talking about practice?
I'm just telling you.
You're really talking about the practice?
First half of the Colts game, week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remember he had like 100 yards in the first half.
Did he run by anybody?
He caught a touchdown in the back of the end zone.
I know, but did he run by anybody with great speed?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. He's an excellent, solid slot player. Let me give you this question.
I can't wait.
Because you have Christian Kirk and you have Calvin Ridley. They're kind of similar players.
Okay.
Okay. If you had to pick one, which one would you take?
Oh, Kirk. I mean, Kirk all day. Because when he went down, that's when the season went really awry. He was the guy.
There's your answer.
He was the guy. Let's get one more question in. This is a tough one, actually, coming up. At JFix88, who do you think is a day 2 or day 3 steal for this year's draft? Well, this is hard because you got to start digging into all these smaller schools and things. I'm going to switch the question around.
Okay.
Who do you think is the best late round steal for the Jags in their history? A guy that was a late draft pick that worked out more than you would have thought. And let's say from the 4th round on.
Telvin Smith comes to mind. Excellent pick in the 5th round. Great speed, and watching Paz and Telvin Smith in their heyday was pure joy.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's some other ones out there.
Cecil Shorts was a 4th rounder, I think.
Yeah, he's 4th. That's not late.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a great question.
You got a minute.
I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah, I'd have to see the list.
Telvin's a pretty good pick, though.
But, I mean, Telvin jumps out right away.
Did we ever figure out another word for generational?
We did not. We failed.
Wow.
We failed.
That's unlike us, being masters of the English language and all.
I'm QB of the decade. He's a quarterback of a decade.
Or of a 10 to 15 to 20 year stretch.
Every 10 years.
Somewhere in that ballpark. That's Jeff Lageman. I'm J.P. Shadrick. Our thanks to Joe Fortunato and Brent Reber. And thanks to you for listening to Jaguars Happy Hour, presented by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving.